Hello, I am Flash Isaac, and today I'll be taking you through our Junior Waec BECE comprehension passages. How to answer BECE comprehension passages while I take you through the passages live. So this is not an audio class or theory class, it's a practical class. So you see what we are doing live. So stop whatever you are doing and focus on this, because at the end of this video, you'll be able to answer any comprehension passage in Junior Waec. And don't fail to subscribe to this channel to get updates anytime I release new, amazing, and powerful videos. Now, when you come across any comprehension passage in Junior Waec, the first thing you should do is read the questions. Because after going through the questions, when you are not reading the passages, you begin to see things that make sense to you. With that, you'll be able to answer the questions easily. So from reading the question, you already have speculations, answers in mind, which the passage will certainly answer. So that's that. And after reading the questions, you go through the passages and see the answers to the questions. Now, let's look at this question. This is Junior Waec English question for this year. Drama, comprehension passage, and other questions. This is how the questions are in Junior Waec. So let me read the questions. The first question says, which of these statements is not true according to the passage? A. All youths are curious and adventurous. Okay, we don't know yet because we've not read the passage. So let's see. B. Olivia discovered the fastest way to detecting Ebola. Is that true? Okay. And remember, it says which of the following statements is not true. So it implies that out of the 5 options, 4 are true and 1 of them is a lie. C. Some great innovations in the world today were made by youth. Is that true? Okay. D. Youths contribute to national development. Okay. E. Youths with ingenious mind are few in number. Okay. We are not going to assume anything because we've not read the passage. And passage is usually not true or absolute. It's the author's mood, how the author feel. So let's go to the next question. Question 2 says, according to the passage, the ingenuity in youths had led to A. Economic recovery in many nations. B. Great inventions in the world. C. Industrialization. D. Job creation. And E. Social vices. So the ingenuity in youths, what has it led to? We are expecting that question and answer in the passage. Question 3 says, to discover their potentials, youths need to A. Guided, B. Honored, C. Motivated, D. Rewarded, E. Sponsored. Okay, so how do we discover potentials of youth? Question 4. The word that can replace devised as used in the passage is, so they use a word in the passage, devised. So let's check the context and see what can replace it. The options here are configured, designed, forged, invented, produced. Question 5. The aim of the writer in this passage is to appraise, argue, criticize, explain, inform. So this passage, what is it about? Is it informing us? Is it educating us? Is it criticizing? So we've seen all the questions. Let's go straight to the passage to see the answers. The youth age is the most exciting, active, and dynamic period of one's life. This stage of life is characterized by physical strength, dreams of great future, quest for adventure, and acquisition of knowledge and experience. So now let's use this idea to answer this question fully, because we already know that it's in the question. Question 1. Which of these statements is not true according to the passage? A. All youths are curious and adventurous. Is true, because we just read it that they are kept for adventure. B. Olivia discovered the fastest way of detecting Ebola. So we don't know about this yet, but we know that A is correct. Option C. Some great innovations in the world today were made by youths. We've not reached there yet, but we know that A is correct. Like, not that option A is the correct option. It means A is true. C. Youth contributes to national development. We've not reached there. E. Youths with ingenious mind are few in number. Okay, we've not reached there. So now we continue. They want to try new things, discover and create things. In a way, these are adventures to them because this penchant to discover, create, and try new things can be channeled toward productivity. So all this guide, hope, adventure, ability to explore, so they can channel it towards productivity. Besides, some great innovations in the world today were pioneered by young people who were curious, passionate, and adventurous. Young men and women dare to dream. So we go back to the question 1. Some innovations in the world today were made by youth, which is correct. So we found 2 correct statements in the passage now. Let's continue. If youths are well guided and mentored, they will discover their God-given potentials. Now, remember, there was a question that says that, how do we discover the potential of the youths? So they need to be guided. So that means number 3, option A is the correct answer. So number 3, option A is correct. We've answered 1. So let's continue. He said, and if they will discover their God-given potentials and channel those potentials towards problem solving. They will not only be useful to themselves and their families, they will also be making substantial inputs to national development. So it says youth contributes to national development, which means that this is correct because youth can contribute to national development when they are guided. So we now have 3 correct options in question 1. So we need 1 more to arrive at final answer. History is replete with youths who have contributed immensely to the progress of their countries. 16-year-old Olivia discovered a way to detect Ebola in less than 30 minutes compared to the current method that takes up to 12 hours to get results. Now, what does that tell you? Olivia discovered the fastest way of discovering Ebola, to detect Ebola. So B is correct. Now, let's see. Our option now that we think is not correct should be option D. No, option E. Youth with ingenious mind are few in number. So there is nowhere in the passage so far that told us that youth with ingenious mind are few in number. So if after completing the passage, there's nothing like that, then that will certainly be the option that is not true. And it will be the answer to question 1. It says, 4 Nigerian high school students, all under age 15, devised a urine-powered generator that can supply 6 hours of interrupted electricity with 1 liter of processed urine. Now, they say, what can replace the word devised in the passage? Look at this question. It's in the passage. It says, 4 Nigerian high school students, all under age 15, devised a urine power generator. That means they invented. So another word we can use for device is invented, which means option D is correct for question 4. You've answered that question. So let's proceed. It says, these ingenious minds are just a few of countless number of youths in our generation. So don't let this statement change your mind. Look at this. It said these ingenious men are just a few of the countless number of youths in our generation. This statement means this is just example. There are so many of them. These age 15 that discover power generator are just few examples. We have so many of them. So this is what this statement implies. So it doesn't imply that youth with ingenious mind are few. Look at it. These ingenious minds are just a few of the countless number of youth. I mean, these are just few examples. There are so many. So option A, the answer is E. The passage didn't tell us that youths with ingenious mind are few. In fact, the passage says there are so many. So all youths are curious and adventurous is correct. Olivia discovered the fastest way of detecting Ebola is correct. Some great innovations in the world today were made by youth is correct. Youths contribute to national development. It's correct. Now, the only thing that is not correct is youths with ingenious mind are few in number. And the question says, which of these statements is not true according to the passage? So E is not true. So we've answered number 1. So the questions left unanswered are number 2 and 5. That led to great inventions in the world. So number 2 is B. And number 5 says, the aim of the writer in this passage is to dash. A, appraise. B, argue. It's not arguing. Criticize. It's not criticizing. Entertain. It's not entertaining. In fact, there's nothing funny in it. It's just saying the fact. Passage 2. Now that we know the tricks to answer comprehension passages correctly and effectively, let's see this passage 2 and let's use the same method. So let's see the question. Question 6 says, according to the passage, the organe was used to. So organe. So what was organe used to? What did it really simplify? What does it show? What does it elaborate? A, assembly of people. B, draw attention to a message about to be passed. C, echo the voice of a town crier. D, lure people to sleep. And E, produce music. We don't know yet, but we know what to expect in the passage. 7, the expression gom gom in the passage is an example of A, irony. B, metaphor. C, onomatopoeia. D, personification. And E, simile. We don't know yet. 8, every man of Umuofia was to gather at the marketplace so that they would A, attend the community meeting. B, be informed of how their daughter was murdered. C, chant a war slogan. D, listen to Eziogo, the village orator. E, sympathize with Ogbuefi Udo. We don't know yet, but we know what to expect in the passage. 9, the people referred to as the sons of wild animals in the passage are D. So who are those referred to as the sons of the wild animal? A, members of Okonkwo's family. B, people in the market. C, people in Mbaino. D, people of Umuofia. E, town crier's family. We don't know, but we know what to expect. 10, the expression the crowd taste for blood means that they were A, afraid. B, deceived by the town crier. C, ready for a revenge. D, tasting for blood. E, vampires. The crowd tastes for blood. So now that we've seen the questions and we know what to point out in the passage, let's go ahead to read the passage. Now, reading the passage. Okonkwo had just blown out the palm oil lamp and stretched himself on his bamboo bed when he heard the ogene of the town crier piercing the still night air. So ogene, like, it's actually echo of the town crier. That's what he's talking about. He heard the voice or echo of the town crier. So number 6, the answer is echo the voice of the town crier. Gome, 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 boomed the hollow metal. Onomatopoeia, they are words whose sound reveal the meaning, like the boom of the gun, the gome of the metal. So the answer should be onomatopoeia, because the sound is what is revealing the meaning of the sound of the stuff in the passage, of the hollow metal. So that's answer to number 7. Then the town crier gave his message, and at the end of it, beat his instruments again. And this was the message: every man of Umuofia was asked to gather at the market square tomorrow. Okonkwo wondered what was amiss. He had discerned a clear overtone of tragedy in the crier's voice. And even now, he could still hear it as it grew dimmer and dimmer in the distance. In the morning, the marketplace was full. There must have been about 10,000 men there, all talking in low voices. At last, Ogbuefi Eziogo stood up in the midst of them and bellowed 4 times, Umuofia, Kwenu, and each occasion he faced a different direction and seemed to push the air with a clenched fist. He moved his hand over his white beard. He then adjusted his clothes. When he passed under his right armpit and tied above his left shoulder, Umuofia Kwenu, he bellowed a 5th time, and the crowd yelled in answer. And suddenly, like one possessed, he shot out his left hand and pointed in the direction of Umbaino and said through the gleaming white teeth, firmly clenched, "Those sons of wild animals have dared to murder a daughter of Umuofia." So the reason they gathered was because a daughter of Umuofia was murdered. This implies that for question 8, the answer is B. He threw his head down and gnashed his teeth and allowed a murmur of suppressed anger to sweep the crowd. When he began again, the anger on his face was gone, and in its place, a sort of smile hovered. More terrible and more sinister than the anger, and in a clear, unemotional voice, he told Umuofia how their daughter had gone to the market at Umbaino and had been killed. That woman said Eziogo was the wife of Ogbuefi Udo, and he pointed at a man who sat near him with a bowed head. The crowd then shouted with anger and thirst for blood. So, 10. The expression "the crowd thirsts for blood" means they were ready for revenge. So that's C. So they were ready to revenge, to fight those who killed the lady. Not that they were vampires or they were thirsty to drink blood. He pointed in the direction of the Umbaino and said through gnashing white teeth and firmly clenched, "Those sons of wild animals had dared to murder daughter of Umuofia." So that answers number 9. So he refers to those Umbaino as those of the wild animal. Now look at this question. It says, why were the children eager to go to hospital? So reading that, I'll put down something like children, hospital. I won't read the options, so I'll just read the question. So I'll have this in mind, children, hospital. Then the second question says, according to the writer, one thing the hospital room had in common with their house was. So another thing is like a hospital versus house. There is similarity. You just sketch that out. The third question says, the children were dashed while their parents were discussing. So, parents discussing, then children. So you can use any code that is best for you. The fourth question says, what proof is there in the passage to show that the mother missed the children? So mother missed the children. So what is the proof? How do you show that you miss somebody? You have to show concern. Like, oh wow, I miss you. How are you doing? Ask about the person. Show care. So that's how to show that you miss somebody. So how did it happen in this passage? And the last question is, which of the statement is true according to the passage? So this one, we have to read the options to have in mind what the options are about. A, the author had not been to hospital before. B, the family lived in a dirty house. C, the mother was delivered of a baby through operation. And D, the nurse was very young. E, there were few people at the hospital. So which of the statements is true? Implies that out of this stuff we just read out, only one of them is true. Now that we have this hypothesis and stuff in mind, so let's read the question and see how it helps us to answer all these questions. Now let's look at it. Father came back about an hour and told us to go and see mother in hospital the next day. Her operation had been successful. The next day, we could hardly contain ourselves until the evening when we could go to the hospital. We kept asking Oken if it wasn't time to go yet. And she kept saying, very soon. When we did go, we found mother in a private room. I had never been inside the hospital before, and I was overawed by the spike and span cleanliness of the room. I was overawed by the spick and span cleanliness of the room. So now the room is very clean. So this is started to taking us to the hospital description. Our house in the mission compound was always well kept, but at the same time, it looked lived in. A toy on a chair, a book on a stool, a sewing basket on the floor, and a sort of thing. But the room in which mother was lying was sparsely furnished. The bed was made of iron and painted white, but the bed was a wooden locker, painted white also. On the other side was an upright chair that was all except for the mosquito net over the bed. Mother must be missing us as much as we miss her, for she drew her heads onto her chest and gave us each a hug before stretching her arms for the baby. So it says, what shows that the mother was missing the children? Immediately the mother saw them, the mother had to hug them. So far we've been able to answer 3 questions by reading, because we have the vision and plan in mind. He said, father put up the upright chair to face mother and sat down. They began to talk, and my brother and I went to the window to look at the scene outside. There were many people coming in through the hospital gate because it was visiting time. We spent the time watching them. After some time, a middle-aged nurse came in to take mother's temperature. I liked her uniform very much, and I asked mother, can I have a dress like this, that when I get back? She smiled and told me it was a uniform and you had to be a nurse to wear it. Interesting story, interesting passage. So these are Junior Waec BECE comprehension passages, and that is how you answer any comprehension passage. So you don't need to have foreknowledge of the passage. You don't need to know the passage that will be said for next year, next 2 years, or next 5 years. Just understand these principles, how to answer the questions. Any passage you see, you go through it, read the questions, read the passage, and try to compare. Then make sure you read with understanding. With that, that's total salvation in comprehension passages. I wish you success. I wish you good luck. I wish you the Thank you for watching my video. I am Flash Isaac. Feel free to subscribe to this channel, Flash Learners, to get my updates on new videos. And don't forget to check out my other videos. Visit flashlearners.com/videos or search Flash Learners on YouTube to see my amazing videos for all your topics. I really appreciate your time. Thank you.